Hi, my name is Rachel and this is Studio Pieces. Today we're going to do a 30-minute practice that's going to be more gentle. So to begin with, we're going to lay down. You can come gently down to lay flat on the mat. We're going to move our feet out to the edge of the mat and let our knees drop in. You can keep your hands on your belly, one laid on stack on top of each other. And just focus in on your breath here for a moment. Today we're going to do box breathing, which is when you inhale for a count, hold the breath for the same count, and then exhale, same, and then hold the exhale, so you're externally holding the breath out for the same count. We'll start with 4. This is the usual kind of count people start with just to ease themselves in. For any reason you don't feel comfortable retaining the breath in or out, you can do equalized breath, which is inhaling and exhaling for the same count of 4. To begin, we'll take a deep breath in and out just to all come together. Inhale and exhale. On your next inhale, I'll count for you. So inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold your breath in, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold your breath out, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Now you can continue on with that on your own, counting for another couple of times, or you can return to your equalized breath, just same inhale and exhale, or just let your breath return to normal if you feel like you're finished with the practice. And once you're done with a couple of rounds here, wherever you're at, you can return your breath to normal. Inhale And exhale. Now I'm going to bring your feet hip width apart. I'm going to put my hands down to my side, palms flat on the mat. I'm going to do a few pelvic tilts. So your bum remains on the floor. You raise your lower back off the floor. So all your back lays on the floor except for that one little spot, that low spot here. If you just look really quick, you can fit just your hand underneath that little space there. That's your tilt up on your inhale, and exhale, your lower back comes flat to the mat. Inhale, tilt. Exhale, flat. Inhale, tilt. Exhale, flat. Inhale, tilt. Exhale, flat. And I will just do another little variation just to give your lower back some little love. So you can bring your feet together and your knees drop off to the side. So you're in a reclined cobbler's pose. And I'm going to bring my two hands behind my head and interlock the fingers behind the head. So your palms are cradling the back of your head and your elbows are out to the side, close or maybe down to the ground. So again, we're going to do our little tilts. So on our inhale, you'll tilt pelvis up. And now on your exhale, you'll bring your lower back flat to the mat. Raise your head up, bring your elbows together, and also bring your knees slightly together. So there's a holding in here. And on your exhale, you release it all, and see if you can release it all at the same pace. So bringing your knees back down lower and your elbows down lowered or to the ground at the same time. Inhale, tilt, exhale, flatten, and then bring up your head, elbows and your knees slightly together. Exhale, release. Inhale, tilt, exhale, come up. Inhale and then exhale, release. Inhale, tilt, exhale, up, elbows in, knees in, head up. And then exhale, release. Now I'm going to bring my head out, or my hands out from behind my head, bring my knees up and hip width apart. And I'm going to come up to sitting. So what we can do right here, you can either roll to your side and then make your way up to your hands and knees and tabletop. Or what you can do is you can lift your feet up and we can go for a little rock. So rock up along the back. This is really nice to warm up the back. So what you can do is put your palms flat on the mat to give yourself a little leverage, and then bring your knees up. And then you're rocking up and down along your spine. You keep your hands on your knees to give you some stability. You can go for a few here on your own breath, or come up whenever you're ready. Now, I'm going to make my way to tabletop. So again, your wrists are underneath your shoulders, your knees are underneath your hips. Going to do a little cat looking at their tail pose is called. So you can put your hips, just tilt them over to the right and then look behind you to that right hip. Everything else pretty much remains the same. Take a breath and exhale back to center, and we'll go the other way. Tilt the hips out to the left and look with over your left shoulder to your left hip. Inhale and exhale. And come back to center. And now from here we're going to go to downward dog. So I'm just going to flip around on my mat. So I'm out the front. I'm going to flip over my toes and come up into downward dog. You can walk out your dog. Just stretch out the backs of your legs. Sometimes I like to bring my feet slightly closer up, maybe a foot closer up, just to bring the heels slightly down more, and it gives a kind of a different kind of stretch, sometimes a deeper feeling stretch. And then I go back. So you can practice with that if you like. Just come into stillness there for a couple of breaths. Can shake your head, no, yes. And we're going to come up to the front of the mat, so you can walk, hop, or jump. Fold over. You can bend your knees as generously as you like. You can have a little movement here, maybe swaying over, maybe bringing your palms to your elbows and doing a little sway there. Or you can stay in stillness. Just enjoy your forward fold. Anytime you bring your head under your heart in a fold, it can be very relaxing. So you can just enjoy your forward fold for a moment. Again, bend your knees generously if you need to. And I'm going to release my elbows. So I'm going to come up into a flat back. Fingers in line with the toes or on the calves or on the thighs. Just make sure your neck is in line with your spine. Looking down to your mat. And then exhale, release down. Inhale. Bring your hands up to the side. Bring them up along your ears. Palms together. Bring them down to the heart. So rather than coming straight down into a forward fold, we're going to bring our arms up into the air. Bend your knees so you're coming down into a chair position. Bring your hands or your arms along your ears if you can get there. And just try to stay low, as low as you can go. So rather than curving the lower back and tilting, try to tuck your pelvis so just see how that feels when you do that. It can often feel more stabilizing. And then you can release on your exhale and come over into your fold. So now I'm going to bring my left leg back. Bring my knee to the ground, flatten my back of my foot. Raise my arms up into the air alongside my ears, slight back bend. And now we're in crescent moon. Inhale. Exhale, palms down. Inhale, raise that back foot off the ground. Come back into downward dog. And raise that right leg up in the air. Exhale, bring it in between the palms. And we'll leave that left knee up off the ground and we'll come up. Raise our fingers onto our fingertips. Look slightly forward. Exhale, put your palms down to the ground. And how about trying here, hopping that left foot, or you can walk it up, right up to the front of the mat. Fold over, feet hip width apart. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, release down. Inhale, arms up into the air, palms touch, and bring them down to the chest. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, raise your arms up, then bend your knees and come down into chair pose. Leave your arms alongside your ear if possible. Again, make sure your pelvis is tucked there. Inhale. Exhale, release down into your forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, we'll bring that right foot back. Bring your knee down, flatten the top of the right foot. Inhale, arms up into the air alongside your ears, slight back bend, crescent moon on the opposite side. Inhale, exhale, hands down to the mat, lift that back knee off the ground, come back into plank. Again, I'm going to lower my knees, flatten the tops of the feet against the mat, and lower myself gently down to the front. Inhale, low cobra. Exhale, release. I'm going to make my way back up into downward dog. And now when I'm here, I'm going to inhale and raise the left leg up into the air. Exhale, bring it in between the two front palms. Raise your fingers up to raise your hands up to your fingertips. Inhale, look slightly forward, and then you can flatten your palms to give you stability, and see again if you can hop that right foot up to meet the left. And again, walk it up if you prefer, or hop it up. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, release. Inhale, arms up in the air, palms together, and they come down to the chest. Inhale, hands up, and now we're going to go just straight into a forward fold. Inhale, flat back. I'm going to make our way back into a downward dog. So you can just walk or hop back. And for this downward dog, we're going to separate our feet out to mat width apart. Take a few deep breaths here. And you can shake your head, yes and no. And just for a variation on Sun salutation A. You can come down into a plank. And again, you can bring your knees to the ground, because actually we're going to come all the way down onto our tummy, so we can all do this. And then flatten our feet, but keep our legs out, our feet still out hip width, or mat width apart. And then lower our front of our body down. We can leave our feet along, so we're kind of, our legs are making a V shape. And then we can raise up into cobra. Exhale, release down, bring your forehead to the mat. So then I'm going to bring my hands out into, so the elbows are underneath the shoulders. The palms are down the ground, so I'm going to coming into a Sphinx position. So the gaze is slightly forward, just a forward and slightly down. Just make sure your shoulders are down and they're not scrunched up to your ears. Inhale, exhale. This can feel like a nice release on the low back, especially with the legs out like this. Inhale, move your head over to the right. It looks slightly over the right shoulder, back into the direction of that right hip. But don't strain your neck, just looking in that general direction. Inhale, exhale back to center. Inhale, look over the right. Exhale, center. Inhale, right. Exhale, center. And then we'll look over the left. Inhale, exhale over the left. Inhale, center. Exhale over the left. Inhale, center. Exhale over the left. Inhale, center. And then you can let your head hang and kind of let your chest slightly lower down, so you're kind of hanging here for a moment. You can bring your fists one on top of the other to rest your head if you don't like to let your head hang. You're kind of letting your chest, your upper body hang off your shoulders. So you can feel a kind of a release in the front chest area. Inhale, exhale. I'm going to raise my head gently back up and then bring my palms down and just bring them in slowly and lower my whole front body down, bring my forehead to the mat. Bring my palms down to the mat again, just make sure that they're in alongside each side of the chest. So we're just going to push ourselves back up into downward dog. You can do plank first, or you can just go straight up to downward dog. Keep your feet where they are, so you're out to a wide leg downward dog still. And while we're here, we can sway the hips slightly from left to right. And then we'll come to stillness. And we'll bring the knees down to the mat. Bring your feet in line with the knees again. So your legs are hip width apart again. And we'll just bring one cat-cow into this. So we let your belly hang, head hang, your pelvis tilted, and then raise your head up. So you're in a cow position. Inhale. Exhale, round the spine. And inhale back to neutral. Feel free to do a couple more of those if you like. I'm going to make my way back into a seated position. So I'll bring my feet over to the right side, gently come back to seated. And I'll do one little forward fold while I'm here. So inhale, raise your hands up into the air, and then just exhale, drape your hands over your legs and let the palms come wherever they naturally come. Could be your ankles, your calves, hold on to your feet, whichever. Bend your knees generously as you like. You'll find that when you bend your knees, the stretch comes more into your back, and the more you straighten your legs, you'll feel a stretch more on the backs of the legs. So I'm going to bend my knees, so I feel like I want to stretch more on my lower back. And every time you inhale, you can kind of raise up, and exhale, just suck in the belly and bring it closer down. Release that intention. And you can continue to do that in your breath. You can just go into a stillness. I'm going to inhale, look up, release my hands, bring them up alongside the legs, bring them up the length of the legs rather. And I'm going to make my way down onto my back again. So I will lay my feet flat on the ground, hip width apart, and slowly lower my back down to the mat. And our final little pose for going to Shavasana is bridge. So again, just make sure your feet are hip width apart and they're as close to your sit bones as possible. So what I find good in measuring that is bringing my hands down the length, and if they can skim the heels here, I know I'm in the right position. So once I'm there, just inhale and slightly raise the lower back up off the ground, gently, vertebra by vertebra. We'll come up to a gentle one first of all. So inhale, the top, exhale, slowly lower down again. Inhale, raise the bum, the lower back, mid back, up. And when you're up here, and the second one, we'll hold the hips up. You can leave your palms like this, or you can come into a full bridge position, which interlocking the fingers and the palms together. Roll your shoulders under, so it gives you more leverage. And press the two interlocked hands down to the mat, so that gives you a little bit of a stability there, and you can get your hips up a little bit higher sometimes. Also, just make sure your knees aren't splayed out. There's the tendency to do that when you come up into bridge, so just make sure they're so hip width apart. When you're practicing bridge, you might like to keep a block between your thighs to make sure you hold that hip width as you raise up and down. Just another inhale as we're up here. Just raise hips up a little smidge more. And then exhale, I'm going to release my hands first of all, bring the palms flat on the mat, and slowly lower the back down, your pelvis and your sit bones then coming last. And just have one little gentle twist before we go. I'm going to bring my feet out to the edges of the mat, and then I'm going to sway them over to the left first of all. So the feet stay where they are, the knees just move over to the left side, and then I'm going to bring my right hand along the length you have it. I might actually bring mine into cactus hands, so like this with the arm bent. If you have the room, you can bring it all the way along out. And I want to move my head in that direction if you can. Inhale. Exhale. You're on your next inhale, and then your exhale, you can bring your knees back to center, bring your head back to center, and that right hand on your belly. Now we can do a little, just make sure your feet are along the length of the mat again. So I can do a little pelvic tilt as we're here. You can bring the knees together. Inhale, tilts. Exhale, flatten. And then I'm just going to drop the knees over to the right. Bring the left hand again. Again, I'm going to bend my arm at the elbow, so I'm in a cactus arm on the left. And I'm looking in the direction of the left hand, but if you can do that too, or you can look up towards the ceiling. You can gently close your eyes or keep a soft gaze. You can bring your right hand on your belly or your right inner thigh. Your knees don't need to meet the floor, just going in that direction with that intention. Your next inhale. And then your exhale, you can bring it back to center. Again, you can leave your feet out mouth width apart and drop your knees, and we'll do one last little pelvic tilt here. I'll bring my hands down alongside the length of my body and put my palms down on the mat. Inhale, tilt. And exhale, release down flat. And then I'm going to bring my feet in hip width apart and then bring them down along the length of the mat. One heel in each corner, so just bring them more than hip width apart. We're going into Shavasana. Make sure your shoulders are down and away from your ears. You can face your palms up or slightly in. Make sure your chin is just slightly tucked, just slightly. Again, you can keep your eyes closed or keep a soft gaze. Just bring your focus back to your breath. I'm going to go inwards, just to absorb all the nutrients of our practice, to integrate those movements into the body. I like to bring my focus onto my breath, just to bring that inner awareness in. So we're moving away from external awareness into inner awareness. Now if you just bring your awareness back into the room, the sounds around you. Start wiggling your toes and your fingers. Rotate the ankles one way and then the other. You can do the same with the wrists. I'm going to bend my knees, bring my feet flat into the ground, and you can turn over to whichever side you like best. I'm going to raise my arm up into the air of the side I'm turning onto, and then turn over. Use the opposite arm, the palm of the hand, to push my way up. And I'm going to come into seated position. Take one final deep breath. Thanks so much for joining me here today. I hope this little mindful movement was a benefit to you. I'm going to bring my palms together and bow and thank you for your time. Namaste.